This is September 9th, 2022 in Barcelona, Spain. And I am here with, would you please spell and your whole first and last name?
No, it's Kate Thorvaldsen.
Could you spell both names?
Kate Thorvlad. I'm sorry, I'm horrible at spelling. Spelling in English is no.
And you live in what city and country?
I live in a place called Telemark in Norway.
Could you spell the city, please?
Lunde, Lunde.
And that, is it relate to Lundi, like in French for Monday?
No.
No.
No, it's not.
Okay. And you were born what date and year?
22 of September, 69.
And so as we speak today in September 9th, 2022, you are what age?
50. I'm going to be 53.
53.
Yeah.
Okay. And looking back on your life, what is the first memory that haunts you from whatever year it was about something strange that you did not understand?
I think that if you're going to do the haunting or the most dramatic one, that would be the last one I had in 1996 in Gould Mountain. I was going up there and I was going to stay there for 2 months all alone to write on my book. But that was around a week, then I was ending up back home.
Well, it's fine, we'll just keep going. We don't,
Okay. No, of course, I was supposed to stay there for 2 months. And I was there around 1 week, and then I wake up in the morning and felt that my nose was sore, my throat was sore. And when I was looking at myself in the mirror, I was up for a little shock, because one thing is that you had this gray, greenish, dry liquid coming from my nose and under my eye. But the thing that was very suspicious was that everyone knows how a fork looks like. The edges are quite sharp. So this one was a much bigger one, and it was like an outprint on my eyelid and on my face like that. And you cannot get that from a pillow. Yeah. I've had pillow marks before in my life, but never anything like this. And of course,
did it look like fingers too?
No, it looked like sharp edges, like a fork thing, but it was bigger.
And now, today, looking back from 2022 September, is it a technology that you have been shown and it has been explained to you what was happening?
Yeah. After that, of course, after I experienced all this in the morning, since I was alone in this cabin, I had to continue doing the stuff, and fire up the fire stove and everything, and so it came a little bit like in the background. But when the evening came and it was dark again, and it was like every fiber in my body told me that something was wrong, seriously wrong, and I wouldn't dare to go to sleep. So I think I was reading the same magazine perhaps 20 times the same night, and no, I won't sleep because something had happened and I don't want to experience that again. And the next day I was able to connect with the people who own the cabin. So they said, okay, we can come up there later today and we will pick you up. So I packed, made everything ready to go, and just sit there and waiting for them to pick me up. And finally they did. But of course in this cabin, this area, it's so quiet. It's so quiet that you can hear the quietness. So that when you suddenly have 2 grown-up men stumbling into the veranda and talking at the same time, I was almost up under the ceiling in just whoo of the sound itself. So, still I was happy when they picked me up and brought me back to the town. But it was when I came back to their house where there was electricity that I could feel the difference, that something really has changed. Because the first thing I wanted to do was, of course, to charge my mobile phone. So when I stick the charger into the wall, it screams like a microphone is screaming. It's horrible. And normally no one can hear the sound of the charger. So to test me, I was standing with my back on them, and they were taking it in and out, and I can just tell them, okay, now it's in, because the sound is horrible.
And what is your understanding today? What is the intelligence that is affecting the electromagnetic frequencies that would cause this scream? What are you dealing with now looking back?
Well, luckily for me, it has changed. This has gone back a little bit more to the normal. But it was for a long, long time that I had to put cottons in my ears, even to just move out between people, because all the sounds was too much. Electrical lamps, bulbs, or light also I was very light sensitive.
And did you associate it with that strange pattern on your forehead?
Yeah, I did, because my friend in the UFO Norway, Odd Gunnar Rød, they have working together with a hypnotist man in Oslo. So they brought me to Oslo to put me under hypnosis to figure out what happened.
And what came out?
Well, I was during the hypnosis. It came out that I was going to bed for the night in the cabin, and in the middle of the night I was waking up, and there was this long being standing there in the hallway, looking at me.
And when you say long being, you mean tall?
Tall, yeah.
Like 7 feet, 8 feet?
He was filling the door. He was not like the small gray ones. He was more like a very, very tall gray type.
And the doorway would probably be 7 or 8 feet tall up to the top?
2 meters. Yeah.
And the being was filling the space?
It was filling the space, yes.
Was it thin?
Yeah, it was thin. And the thing is that when I was trying to draw it, it became out a little bit wrong, because all the lines that when you were drawing it, then it's black. But when the way I saw it, he was shining. It was like it was glowing instead, and there was no difference from the upper body and down. It was more. It was like he had his kind of a skirt thing on him. It was a little bit transparent kind of skirt that just went into the body. So it was like one
part
piece
of the body.
Yeah.
And what color of skin, and what were the eyes and the ears?
He was grayish in the colors, and then the typical black eyes.
What shape was the head, and what shape were the eyes?
No, it was quite big, the black eyes.
The long ones that come around the side.
Yeah, it's more a little bit like this, only like the Chinese.
And the head, was it pear-shaped or diamond-shaped, or?
It's more like a pear-shaped.
A pear-shaped.
Yeah.
And do you remember what was the first thing that went into your mind's eye?
Well, the thing that happened was that after I saw this creature standing in the door, then he made me get out from the bed, and then it was like I was hanging in the air and floating together with him into the living space. And then there was 2-3 others of the smaller creatures, and then they were starting to put this helmet thing look-alike on my head. So it looked a little bit like a bad horror movies from the 70s.
And when they put the helmet on, what happened?
In that moment, it's not that exciting, because in that moment I remembered kind of what happened to me when I was 10 years old, because I also had an experience back in those days. So I asked him mentally there that, stop, don't let me remember anything more. So in the next second, everything was gray. So this hypnotist man, he was working on me for 2 hours, but there was nothing, just gray.
What was it that you didn't want to see?
I guess it perhaps was the pain or a thing like that. I can't say.
Have you ever remembered?
No. Because
Well,
I asked them to block it out, and they did. I remembered it for a split second, but of course now the second is gone, and after that he blocked it.
Then what would be the next step in your life's relationship with this unknown, unseen, that you can share with us? How has this evolved up to today?
Yeah, well, it took many years that I was joking about implants. I heard other people talking about implants, and perhaps I did have one myself. Back in those days, I had a triangle-shaped thing on my neck, so I was thinking perhaps that could be it.
Like a red pattern?
No, it was like you could feel it under the skin. So then I was talking with Sid Goldberg, and he was telling me that, why don't you try one of those very tiny magnets, these neodymium magnets, and put them on? And of course, it's a big change from joking about having implants, and then you're buying the magnets and you put it on, and oops, it sticks.
Right.
So it gives you a little bit of wow.
Yeah. Well, can you explain what was the evolution of testing, and did anyone ever come to a final, let's say, a scientific or medical explanation for why these magnets would stick to you?
No, the thing is that after that one, a friend of mine said that since you have always had a problem with your nose after these experiences, why don't you try to stick it on your nose too? And I did. And they stick. I can jump if I want and they will not fall off.
And what do you think today? What do you think is the reason that these magnets will stick to you?
I don't know.
You still don't?
No.
Have you ever had a vivid dream that seemed somehow to relate to the time that the magnets first stuck to your skin?
No, I don't.
And what would be maybe the most dramatic dream that you've had that had beings in it?
The thing is that I don't have I have had many dreams with other creatures and beings, but they have never been dramatic or critical or bad in that way.
What would be most memorable?
I think that the cutest moment must be when I was 3 years old.
What happened?
No, I was. This was very close up to Christmas, and my mother, she has told me that I will be meeting Santa soon. And of course, all kids are thinking, okay, that will be a nice experience. And that evening, she was putting me to bed. I was having this crib, and I was I was standing there, and I was looking out the big black windows, and I wasn't tired. God knows what I was thinking about. That I don't remember. But then suddenly, the wall on the left side became blurry, and this little gray creature came out through the wall, and he was gliding over to the crib and standing in front of me. And of course, I was 3 years old, so I started blah, 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 and trying to communicate. That would be quite normal. But this creature didn't say anything. So it didn't take me long, but then I understood that we were communicating telepathically, yes. So he was giving me the feeling that he was there to see if I was okay.
And today, after living a life of about half a century, what do you now think was going on between the small gray and you at age 2?
For me, it's a complex question. I think that they are following us on many different levels. It can be from past lives. You can have been one of them in a past life. They are following bloodlines. They're also following families. They have been following my mother's side back in the history. So my mother and my grandfather has seen them.
And would you all be Nordic blood?
Yeah, we are.
And when you say following you, do you have a sense of what they are following?
What do you mean?
Well, you're aware that your family is being monitored by non-humans. And today, would you have a sense, even an intuitive sense, about what it is that they are monitoring?
I don't know. I just think that they're just following. I think that when it comes to, I can just speak for myself. I think that the implants that they have been putting in me, for now there is more than 30 of them.
30.
Yeah, and they are more or less symmetrical placed all over. So there was this guy joking to me and saying that you are walking around like a walk and talking antenna. And I was thinking that perhaps that can be something into it.
Right, and that was what the Greys wanted to accomplish.
Yeah.
But why that number? And would the implants themselves be responsible for magnets sticking to your skin?
I don't know. If there are more than 30, I don't know. I haven't looked.
Have you gone to a doctor and said, I want a CAT scan or MRI or something, so I've got a picture of exactly where they are?
If you go to a Norwegian doctor and you say that, well, you will get the mental jacket quite fast. So, but luckily for me, UFO Norway, they also had a connection with a guy that was a chiropractor, and he also had this X-ray machine in the back room. And of course, no one of this kind of people or doctors, they want to have their name associated with implants or aliens. So they were sneaking me into the office from the back door, and they were not even putting me in the records. But they took the pictures.
And do you, with your own eyes, you've looked at these photos, and do you have a sense of a pattern that it says something to you?
No, I did not see them right then. I was sending all the material then to Sid Goldberg, and he was really zooming into this and really studying this. So when you really study the pictures, then you can find them.
But do you still have any sense now, you've gone through all of this, yet at an intuitive level, why are the Greys doing this?
For me, I think that they have been helping me up in one way or another to do the astrophysics, cosmology, this kind of things. I have no education at all on this topic, but I'm working on a brand new book on it that is called The Creation, where physics and the consciousness meet.
And could you help us understand, because I too have written a lot about that the key to the whole universe is frequency and frequency resonance. I'm convinced that that is the key. In your own experience doing this book, what is it that you're going to try to share with the human family?
It's more like how everything is connected, how the so-called physics or the so-called physical and consciousness work together, and then there's nothing, the one thing can't be without the other. And when it comes to explaining this stuff in English, it's very difficult, because it's very difficult even to explain this stuff in Norwegian. And a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is so new and so different that some people, when they ask me, can you explain this simple part or that simple part, then I can't, because you have to understand with the beginning and then do the whole process before you can get to the point where you actually will understand the other things.
Are you dealing with reincarnation?
Not in this topic here, but it's a natural thing. It's a thing that can be naturally explained into this whole area.
And how would you explain to, say, a general audience what perspective you have now on the relationship of reincarnation, the recycling of souls, to you as a human, but to the Greys that have been interacting with you? Why are they doing this?
The thing is that our consciousness that is working through this body, or your body, or everyone else's body, we're all linked together at the same particle level, if I shall use that kind of expression just to try to make the image. And the aliens, or doesn't matter what kind of a life form, we are all stuck to the same field underneath the visible one that we are seeing.
So who is benefiting from studying the links of frequencies among humans?
I think that this is something everyone should know, because the more everyone know about themselves and what they're coming from, on who they are in the basics, and that when we die, it's just a physical part of us that dies, and we come back again, and we are internal. So then I think that humanity will look differently at ourselves the more they understand.
Do you feel in 2022 September that there is a threat to Earth?
No, I don't think so. I think that the biggest threat perhaps must be ourselves.
A lot of abductees keep saying that they sense or feel that something is coming that could be existential, an existential threat.
Yeah, I think that one mustn't then. When I think about in those terms, that would be from the humanity itself.
Self-destruction.
Yeah.
Well, okay, flip the coin around. Have you had any dream or any kind of image in your mind's eye that would relate to beings or another intelligence trying to show you, if humans don't do this, this is what's going to happen? Have you had any warnings like that?
Not that I can remember, actually. They have been teaching me perhaps in a more different way instead of we are all the time looking outside to find the answers. But the answer are in ourselves. And if you want to know how the future will go for, let's say, the humanity, we can just start looking at the common brainwave of the society. And one thing is one brainwave for what we are creating, one person, but when a bigger society, that kind of brain pattern or that pattern will become quite strong and big. And now this pattern is more or less globalized, so then it's making even more stronger.
Well, right now, I think that most people would say It feels like the timeline of Earth has been chopped up and turned into confetti. There is just so much strife, stress, conflict. A lot of people say they've never known life on Earth like this before. Would you have any sense of why this moment feels so treacherous in a strange way, and what could be coming after?
Well, the thing is that there's a much bigger picture to all of this. And I think that Greg Braden, by the way, he has been into a lot of this stuff. And if you look at the old history of Earth, when the world is getting warmer and cooler and goes in like waves like this, and the same thing is with humanity and their wars and how aggressive they are. The warmer the Earth is getting, the more aggressive we get. So it will go up and cool down. But the only problem with humanity is that we have nuclear bombs and we have a little bit too many weapons to destroy ourselves a little bit too many times. So that makes it even more critical than, let's say, for 2,000 years ago when we were running around with an axe or something like that. Didn't have the same impact on the world as we can do now.
I've had various sources say basically the same thing over the last 43 years when I've been trying to get to the bottom of all this and what is the truth. And I've heard this sentence, this thought, several times. Extraterrestrial biological entities manipulated DNA in already evolving primates to create Homo sapien. That would mean that our creation is an extraterrestrial exercise or test. When I say those words to you, what comes to mind for you?
I think that we can absolutely be an alien ourselves here on Earth, but we are also evolving all the time. There's nothing that stands still. So we are evolving, aliens are evolving, plants, everything is evolving. So
why do you think that the power brokers of the planet centuries ago and now currently the Department of Defense, why have they never ever told humanity the truth? You are a genetic creation from extraterrestrial beings in this universe.
Well, it's quite easy actually. Then they will lose the power. If every person knew what kind of power they actually have while creating stuff from their own brain waves and etc. If they seriously knew that, how powerful they are, the church or the governments or everyone else, they will lose the power over them. Right now we are more like zombies under every commercial or everything we have been taught in life.
And your own experiences, the magnets, the being aware that something else is interacting, but you don't have answers.
No.
And yet in 2022, you've lived at least half a century approximately. And could you speak to the general family of humanity about where you see things going from here, given the fact that so many people feel that it's the end of the world time?
Well, I think that the first thing they need to do, of course, it sounds a little bit superficial or shallow when I say that the first thing you can do is to figure out who you are. That's the most important, because if you don't know who you are, then you will never know your power. Then you just follow the rest of the crowds and you can't change nothing.
But
so
see, that's part of the abuse of power brokers for millennia, refusing to let the whole family of humanity know the truth that they know, that we are a genetically created species that is experimented with by extraterrestrial biological entities, that is the truth. And so now in 2022, 8 billion people on planet Earth are denied that fact. It is still not an official policy, yes, now we're going to tell you the truth. And it seems to me that the impact of that kind of denial of information by power brokers is a serious abuse.
It is, but the thing is also that, let's say that the people with the power told the people that, okay, you have the power. The problem would be that the most people, they will not understand it. it takes a long, long time to integrate the understanding of your own power. It's like if someone has told you your entire life that, oh, say, unless you are ugly or you are stupid, you will not change that belief just because someone tells you that you are looking good or you are smart. It takes a long time to change it. But the only one who can change it is you. But you have to be awake and start the process to find out who you are and then get the power, and then you can change things. Without it, you can't.
Yeah, beyond human power brokers, who else in your experience, even if it has been only at night in a dream, who do you think could be benefiting from the ignorance of planet Earth?
I think that is a typical human thing.
For us to always operate in ignorance?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think there are beings out there that take advantage of that.
Can be, yes, but most likely for me in my world there are humans that are having the best profit of keeping people stupid.
What else would you like to have your human family understand about what has happened to you?
Well, that's a difficult question, actually. Yeah, I don't know what to say actually to that.
Well, we'll end on that.